So let's start. Let me give a quick introduction real quick. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Andreas Springer. I'm from southern Germany, and with Shibi and me, we are the community leaders for the city chapter of Stuttgart. And yeah, we put together with the great help of Aisha this conference event today in honor of the International Women's Month. And that's where this the title and the topics came from, balancing work and family life with Atlassian tools, live and work asynchronously. Yeah, I'm really excited that we have 3 Atlassian speakers today. I think that's a new one for us, a new record. Yeah, very much looking forward to the great topics. So again, introducing everyone, I think first to go today will be Suzie Prince. She's the head of product management at Atlassian, and her topic is going to be boost productivity with Jira reporting. Very much looking forward to that one, very interesting. And then I think the second slot is going to be the Confluence collaboration topic, if I'm not mistaken, right? From Sam Ugulava, Senior Product Manager. So how to use Confluence to improve collaboration. Probably also something, a tool that every one of us uses on a daily basis. So looking forward to that one. And then last but not least, we have Sam Tsubato, also Senior Product Manager at Atlassian, with Be More Productive and Improve Efficiency with Jira and Jira Align, which for me personally is also a very interesting topic, because I know Jira, but I don't know Jira Align yet. But I think at the end of today's session, I'm going to know it a little bit better. I hope it's the same for you guys who are in a similar situation than me. And so, yeah, I think as we said, Suzie has a hard stop in 30 minutes. So she will go first. And let's just go right ahead, and I will give you the stage, please.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if we can get this working. All right, I need to share first, I think, and then do my, let's see. I'm going to try and do this, and you can tell me if that. You should see a screen now, and I think you should see a presentation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Improving team productivity with insights in Jira software. Okay, great. We got over the technical piece. So yeah, as Andrea said, my name is Suzie Prince. I am head of product for DevOps here at Atlassian. I've been with Atlassian for about 3 years, and I'm part of the Agile and DevOps organization, which is responsible for Jira Software Cloud, as well as Bitbucket Cloud and some of our newer products, Jira Product Discovery, and Compass as well. Today, I'm here to share with you some of the new features that we have been working on in Jira Software Cloud that are about providing insights to teams as they go about their daily work. The real emphasis of these features was really about team productivity. So how can we make your lives easier as a team to understand the progress you're making, and improve and get that feedback so that you can keep getting better, and hopefully you know your work life stays at work, and you don't have to think about improving it outside of work. I guess that's kind of the link to the topic. The insights products that we are providing are slightly different than some of the more traditional reports that you may have seen. The way that we think about insights and the difference with reports is that insights are providing you actionable information as you are going through your day-to-day processes. So you're at a stand-up, for example. Can we provide you information at your stand-up or at your sprint kickoff, or perhaps at your retrospective that actually allow you to improve. Those are slightly different than some of the reporting capabilities we have, which give you a vast amount of information and provide this data to you and allow you to kind of slice and dice that information. We're trying to be more specific and more actionable and provide those insights during your natural flow as opposed to like a separate reporting activity. So what I'm going to do today is I have a video from our team, our senior product manager who's been working on this, Nat. She's going to demonstrate some of these features to you, these new insights features to you. So I'll play the video. And then what I was really hoping for is if everybody's up for it, maybe you can, if you use these features, provide some feedback to us, share whether you think they're actually helping team productivity. I'd also love to just hear more about the challenges you have, because this is an active part of our roadmap. We're always adding these insights. We have investment for that going into the future, and so I'd love to just get some feedback about how we might improve the insights, improve your productivity, and kind of make this a two-way conversation. So I will first of all play the video. Let me know if you don't hear it, because I'm not sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalia and I'm a product manager from the Insights and Data Development team. Over the past 18 months, we have been working to surface useful data-powered insights on the Scrum and Kanban boards in Jira Software Cloud. With these insights, we want to help teams make timely decisions and drive better outcomes while planning and progressing their work. We're excited to introduce you to the insights in this video. Insights take the guesswork out of the product planning and coordination by drawing your attention to what is useful and actionable without the burden of generating reports and understanding and exploring the data itself. Insights drive better team productivity by highlighting trends and blockers, all while removing the mental overhead of making a decision. Let's start with the insights on the board. These insights help you and your team make data-driven decisions based on the health and scope of your current sprint to ensure that the work is staying on track. Start by navigating to your board view and click on the Insights button on the top right of your screen. At the top of the Insights panel, you'll see Issues for Attention Insight. Highlighting stuck, blocked, and flagged issues on the board, Issues for Attention Insight helps teams diagnose which issues pose a risk to delivery in their sprint and take timely action to resolve them. Seeing stale issues should help start those important conversations with your team, prompting the action to resolve these issues as soon as possible. Below the Issues for Attention Insight, there is a Sprint Progress Insight. The Sprint Progress shows how your sprint is tracking towards being completed. With this insight, your team can see the percentage of work that's done, in progress, or yet to be started. This insight provides your team with a quick way to get a snapshot of sprint progress at any point during the sprint. Up next, we have the burn down and scope changes insight. We know things don't always go according to plan, so the insight gives you and your team more visibility of your sprint progress and scope changes as the sprint progresses. Designed to be a companion to your daily stand-up, the Burn Down Insight gives you more transparency of the progress of your planned work. By looking at the Burn Down Insight, you can see the work that has been completed and the work remaining to help predict teams' likelihood of completing the work in the time available in the sprint. The gray guideline shows the optimal sprint progress, while the blue line shows the actual progress of your team. The insight is particularly useful when unplanned work gets pulled into the sprint. Having visibility and way to visualize your scope changes can help your team to track scope creep and unplanned work more effectively, understand your team's likelihood of successfully achieving sprint goals, and make the data-driven prioritization decisions during your sprint. For example, your team could consider absorbing unplanned work and scope changes as they come along. The information may help you decide how to break up work and carry it over to the next sprint, swapping urgent requests with previously committed tasks, and moving tasks of similar sizes to the next sprint or the top of the backlog. And finally, we have a sprint progress, the Epic Progress Insight. The Epic Progress Insight helps your team connect the work you're doing in the sprint to larger goals. By monitoring your Epic Progress Insight, your team will be able to understand how their work is contributing to larger initiatives and goals. This wraps up our quick overview of board insights and the role they play in helping drive productivity of your team during the sprint. Let's have a look at backlog insights now. Start by navigating to your backlog, view and click on the Insights button on the top right of your screen. You'll see the Sprint Commitment Insights at the top of your Insights panel. The insight calculates the average workload your team has completed over the last 5 sprints. The insight also tells you whether your team has over or under committed in your current sprint based on the past trend. The insight will use your estimation setting set for your project, displaying information in terms of story points, issue count, or time. Mousing over each bar of the past sprint will show you the work committed and completed in the past. Team's average velocity over the last 5 sprints is depicted by the gray horizontal dashed line. This information helps you plan for your next sprint by better understanding how much work your team is likely to complete. For example, if you see the team falling a bit short over the last few sprints, you might want to consider removing some work from the upcoming sprint, as your team might be planning too much and not leaving any buffer time for unplanned work. Alternatively, if you see the team consistently over target, you may have room to bring in the extra issue or two. Don't forget to hit refresh on the insights to get instant feedback as you adjust your plan. Underneath the Sprint Commitment Insight, you will find the Issue Type Breakdown Insight. This insight helped your team gain a better understanding of the different types of work your team is taking on in your current sprint. Using this information, you can see whether the priorities in the current sprint line up with your overarching goals and expectations. By hovering over each bar, you can see exact number of issues allocated to the current sprint, along with that issue type's overall percentage of the current work. At high level, this gives a quick snapshot of time allocation across tech debt, bugs, and feature work in the current sprint, and whether the team might be over-indexing in one specific area. This concludes our quick overview of board and backlog insights. We hope insights help your team to be more productive and make data-driven decisions during sprint planning and while coordinating your work during active sprints. Make sure to reach out to us should you have any questions or feedback to share. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad that we could finally get that playing. Hopefully it was a useful insight into those new features that we have in Jira Software Cloud. What I was hoping to do now, if the group is open and willing, is to hear from you what some of your biggest challenges are with team productivity. The area that I work in is about improving that team productivity, not only in Jira Software, but also how you connect your other tools, source control, CI/CD tools into Jira Software. So I'd really love to just open the floor and maybe hear from that, or in the chat. I'm not sure if that's an option for us today as well. Another alternative would be if anybody has used these Jira Software Insight features to support your planning process or your active sprint. It would be useful insights for us to improve them and hear from you.
So I can maybe jump in. So me personally, I have seen the Insight button, but I've never clicked on it actually. So it was very interesting to see what is behind that.
Yes.
What I've noticed is that there are so a lot of the metrics that you can see there is I think designed towards the use of story points, right?
Yes.
And so is it? I think it's mostly developers who are working with story points, right?
Yes, we do see a variety of teams will use it, particularly if they're doing something like Scrum. Definitely do see story points. We also have support there for count. So some of those percentages that you saw were using the count of the stories as well. Yeah, it definitely does depend on your role during that like active sprint, perhaps. Product managers are potentially less interested, although I'm always interested to know how much has been delivered, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm leading a marketing team, and we are not using story points.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
yes.
question is how. So, what happens if you don't use story points? Are these metrics or numbers are just disappearing, or is there something else coming up instead?
They will still appear, but they will use the count of those issue types instead, is my understanding. I'm curious, though, they are definitely created for software development teams as opposed to marketing teams. Are any of those, like, issues for attention is an interesting one. This is basically trying to draw, tell you, like, this particular issue has been waiting for something, it's blocked, it's in a particular status for a while. I could imagine that would still be very useful for a marketing team, but it would be good to kind of get your feedback as well. Like maybe it's less important to kind of look for blockages in your process.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. So how does it work? People have to manually mark and flag their tickets as blockers, right? Or flagged. So it's not an automatic thing.
It will just tell you which ones are outside of the norm. So these particular issues look different than other issues. So normally issues go through your process in a certain way. These will appear if they are like outside of that norm. So it's you don't have to do any configuration. It's using your kind of historical data, your past data, all of those insights kind of work in the same way, that it's somewhat smart or intelligent, that it's using your past behavior. And in the future, we actually hope to be able to say, like, we know the most productive teams operate in this way. So you might also like to change your process to look like these more quote unquote productive teams. So it's it's kind of smart in the way that it thinks about providing those insights to you.
Ah, very interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely have to look at that if it can help us in our daily work. I would say, because you asked about challenges in team productivity, I think one of the big challenges that we have is that just, tasks are taking longer than expected, are more complex maybe than we could plan for. So we're doing weekly sprints actually, and team members are estimating their tasks. And yeah, what happens if we go over, or how can we better plan for unexpected change of scope or something like that? Maybe you have some insights.
Yeah, I definitely think that some of our existing insights can help there. So we talked about issues for attention, but some of the ones around sprint planning, where it informs you, like, you usually take on this amount of work, and you usually complete like 70% of it, not all of it within that sprint. I think that would be really helpful to help you understand, okay, maybe we're taking on too much work.
The other areas that we are looking at very specifically now, so they're kind of in our exploratory phases, are things around unplanned work. So some of the things we see, particularly with software teams, is that they will have a very nice plan before the sprint starts, and then this unplanned work will come in and disrupt the plan. And so we can actually provide you insights to what would happen, and Nat showed some of this in that video, is what would happen if you did accept that work and you take it in, like what would be the impact to the rest of the work. And I think that this is something that gets lost in all types of teams. People just accept new work and they don't reset the expectations for the pieces that they already took on. So we see this as fairly disruptive in many ways. Sometimes it's the right thing. You know, you need to fix this particular bug or take on an urgent, whatever it might be in the world of marketing, PR or something, a comms plan. But it's important to reset the rest of the expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's vital. I mean, you cannot do everything in one sprint, right?
You can't. And particularly if we think back to your original thought-provoking topic, I think what we sometimes see, and I can reflect on, you know, personal life, is the unplanned stuff happens out of hours, or you take it on, and that becomes where it is challenging. So I think like having that conversation at the moment that the work is accepted into the team is a better opportunity to align together and decide what are our priorities. Is it the stuff we already planned or the new stuff that's coming in? And hopefully these insights are to help you at that decision-making moment, as opposed to forcing you to go somewhere else and like run a report and do a thing, to help you make a choice at the point of time.
Great. Yeah, I will definitely have a look at that. Thank you.
I love this. So I'm a PM, which typically PMs aren't too much in Jira, as much as like an EM, at least within Atlassian, but the backlog insights with the sprint commitment, basically it's kind of showing a velocity chart, but then it's averaging out like over the last 5 sprints. I manually did that for my team because we've been working on some new ways of working, and we don't have a full engineering manager who's like in with the team kind of running all this stuff. And so this is like awesome because in the last sprint, like in the last 2 weeks, I actually like looked at all the data for our team in the last 6 sprints, and like they were over committing by like 40 or 50 points every single sprint. Like it's just so consistent. So when we did sprint planning yesterday, actually, we set a target goal that we weren't going to take in more than 40 story points as opposed to like 80 or 90. And I'm really excited to see what happens at the end of this sprint, because I have been on teams before where if you actually take on less, you finish and it builds momentum, and it actually does drive like that agile kind of framework forward and really make an impact on the team. So I've seen teams go from like horrible velocity to improving it like by 60% in several months when I've worked on some teams in the past. And this is awesome because I don't have to go do the manual math.
The manual work.
Yeah. So this is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's such a great feedback, Sam. And I think like the reflecting on your past, you were doing it anyway, but that you don't have to do that when you have so many other things to do, I think is like one of the great things about this, that it's just right there. And I think that you make a good point about sometimes when teams are consistently not meeting their goal because they overcommit, it has a morale impact. But as soon as you like can recognize like this is what we're capable of right now, and you hit that goal, it builds that feeling of momentum and like understanding as well of what is possible. So I'm really excited to see how your team goes. Maybe you can report back to all of us and let us know what it's like. Has anybody else used these insights or could see that they would be valuable for their team? I'd love to hear any more stories anyone has.
I saw it for the first time. I haven't used it, but I loved it. What I really liked is that you can access it from the same screen. So as a project manager or a program management person, you have to sometimes refer to different tabs, open up, and but this is all accessible from one view. That's awesome. But I have like two questions. One is, we have enterprise solution in our organization, like we use data center. So is this available for data center? And second is, we use Kanban model. So no sprints, Kanban. So how is this different for people who are following Kanban, not Scrum?
Yeah, both are good questions. Unfortunately, this is not available in our data center products. I'm sure that you have heard that answer before. Sometimes these features, particularly some of these features where we're using these smart capabilities, are on our cloud products to kind of gather that data. However, if you were to migrate to the cloud products, or if that's something available, bringing these insights to basically the company managed boards, as well as the team managed boards, and the Scrum and Kanban is definitely our plan. So some are available and some are not, but the expectation is that they would be available to kind of all types of engineering teams, software teams using Jira Software Cloud. Yes.
Okay. The problem is we have like 20,000 plus users in our enterprise, and moving them to cloud, I think there is a cap that you cannot migrate more than some. So that's because I have used cloud and server. I honestly love cloud version, but there are like these discussions still going on, like, and some of the apps doesn't work, like add-ins doesn't work on cloud. So that those kind of conversation has been happening in our organizations in the last 2 or 3 years. We are still sticking with data center as of now.
Yes, and I think that there are other organizations who have similar challenges to you, the size and the apps. It's definitely something that is top of mind. I guess any Atlassian on this call would know our migration and making sure that we can meet your needs in the cloud is top of mind. And the area that I work in is to build these more forward-thinking, innovative features to also help encourage that. But I recognize sometimes it's not your choice. And there are blockers to that process. So if there's anything I can help, like it doesn't have to be now, but after this call to understand more about that, I'm happy to like spend some time and understand what those blockers are and connect you to the right people in Atlassian.
Sure. Thank you, Suzie.
No worries. Well, we are coming to the end of the time that I'm available this morning, but I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to share these with you. It's interesting that the Atlassians, some of the Atlassians were aware of them, but maybe this group were not. So if you are using Jira Software Cloud, I encourage everybody to go click that button. I can share my email address, I think, through the community. You can get hold of me. I would love to hear your feedback. Our team would be delighted to come into your organizations and show these to you if that's something that you'd like to do. So it's been an honor to come and have a conversation with you. And I hope everybody finds the right balance in their work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Before you leave, can we take one picture with everyone?
For sure. The hair.
Yeah.
Also, Suzie, we have a comment from Victoria. I know you have to leave, so I can send you the message in Slack.
Okay, sure. Maybe the next speaker can start. I can stop for a couple minutes, read it, and respond.
Okay.
I think okay, cool. But we can do your picture first.
Yeah. Can everyone be on the camera, please? Paul, Victoria, so that I can quickly. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Should we do some sign? Maybe thumbs up or
thumbs up is good.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Suzie. Thank you.
Great.
No worries. It was great to be here.
Thank you. Have a great day, Suzie.
Thank you, Suzie.
All right. So does any one of you want to catch on to the previous topic? Want to discuss something more? Have something to share? Or should we go right to the next presentation. Any comments? Nope, doesn't seem so. Okay, no problem. So I think next up is Samantha, right? Is that true?
Yes, let's
Okay,
do
so I
it.
will hand you the microphone, the virtual one.
All right, sounds good. All right. Let me share. All right. All right, so I am going to talk about boosting collaboration with Confluence, and hopefully some of this collaboration and driving efficiency through how you use Confluence can help save some time so you can spend more time with your family. So today I'm just going to kick things off with a little intro of myself. Then we're going to talk about some hacks, some Confluence hacks that are going to save you time. And help drive async collaboration. And then finally, since the topic of this is really around balancing work and family life, I'm actually going to walk through a little bit of an example of how Confluence helped my sister and I choose a memory care facility for my mom. So not just work stuff, but also how Confluence can kind of help you in your family life as well too. So go ahead and get started. So everyone, I'm Sam. I am a product manager on Jira Align actually today, but I've been at Atlassian for about 2 years. I started out as a PM on the Confluence content experience team and owned the creating and publishing workflow. And so I've built a lot of features around how you're creating and publishing content. Over that time that I was there. And then I more recently moved over as a senior product manager onto Jira Align under our enterprise agility products. So I really love Confluence. It's why I joined Atlassian to begin with. In all of my past companies, I've kind of been known as like the Confluence guru and just have a really nerdy obsession with it. And a big part for me and within my career and helping me kind of make decisions between saying yes or no to different opportunities has really been driven by this kind of personal vision and mission statement for my career. And so I wanted to share that with you all today because I think it really fits into why I care about sharing things about Confluence and how you can use the tool and why I love the tool. So my vision is a world where people feel empowered to build community while advancing gender equality, diversity, and women's sports. So my background before Atlassian is I've worked in sports tech my entire career. I was a soccer player, football in Europe from the time I was like 3.5 through 25 or 26. So I played at university, played a little bit of semi-professional afterwards, and then I have started a couple of startups in the sports tech space. So really, really care about that. But I also really care about storytelling and building products that have those meaningful user experiences and just have a huge thirst for learning, but really love telling great stories and kind of translating work to a wider audience. So that's my vision. My mission, I feel like, which is like how I bring that vision to life, is really around equipping others with resources and practical tools, going to help them reach their full potential, hopefully while inspiring others with stories featuring especially strong, powerful women. So that's a little bit about myself. Like I said, I love Confluence, so I want to jump in and show you guys a few hacks hopefully will make collaborating faster, more efficient, more fun in Confluence. So I have a series of, I think, 9 features here that I wanted to quickly go through and just show you guys how some of these things work. So the first one here is around quick access to edit. So one of the features that I helped build was this one, and we really wanted to make it simple and easy to just jump back into work and start editing again. So we've added this edit button kind of all over Confluence.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I only see a static image of your screen.
Oh no!
If they're supposed to move, I don't see it.
Oh, well, perfect timing that you said that because I was about to move the page. Let me try again here. All right. Okay. Is it moving now?
I think your sharing stopped altogether now.
Oh no. Oh man. All right. Share window. How about this? Let's try that. All right. Now can you see this moving?
Yes, now it works.
Woo, woo. All right. Sounds good. Cool. So these are kind of the features that I'm going to walk you guys through. So this first one is this quick access to edit. So one of the big problems that I think people have while using Confluence, especially at work, is that it can be really hard to kind of get quickly into a page or start editing or jump back into collaboration. So, say you start a page, you're working on something with a colleague, and you want to be able to kind of drive some of this collaboration async. One of the best ways to kind of jump back into a page is what we call quick access to edit. And so we've added these kind of edit buttons all throughout Confluence that make it a lot easier to click this than rather having to kind of go into the page tree, navigate to the space that you think the page was written in, find it, then click on the page to open and to edit it. So this is a great hack for just kind of saving some time to jump back in, especially when you're collaborating on a page with someone else. The next feature is around schedule publish. And so with this feature, if you have a family, sometimes you have to come back online and do some work in the evening after you've picked up your kids or put them to bed. But a lot of times, people want to be more conscious these days of not sending out messages or pages or notifications or things like that to people in those off hours. And so one of the ways that you can kind of help avoid some of that, or not have to be at your laptop because you have something else that you have to run out to do while needing to publish a page, is this idea of schedule publish. And so I'm going to open up a new tab here, and this is another one of the hacks. So if you type in confluence.new in a browser and push enter, it will actually start a brand new page, a brand new draft in your personal space. So a quick, easy way to get started. So I'm going to add a title, this page, and then I'm going to show you how you would schedule this. So we would go in, and in this left up here bar, you can click schedule publish, and this pops up, and you basically can go in and choose the date that you want to publish this and the time. So let's say we want to publish it at 1:30 p.m. You can click schedule, and then you can close this, and this page will publish there in the future. So that's a great way to save some time. The other thing as well is, when you're collaborating with other people, it again can be hard to find pages in the page tree. And so another feature that I helped build on Confluence was emojis in title. So I'm going to pull this sample page back up. And if you hover over the title, you can click here, you can add an emoji, and it'll add that to the title. When we go and we publish, when we go to publish a page, that emoji is going to appear here in the page tree next to that page. And it may seem like a really simple thing, but it really can help you kind of scan really quickly through a page tree and help you kind of be able to quickly pick out, oh yeah, that's the page that I was working on, or that's the page that I'm collaborating on. And so it's just a great kind of like little way to make a page stand out within that page tree and make it unique. The other feature I wanted to highlight here is around table visualization. And so I am going to go back in, I'm going to start a page, and I am going to copy a table from a different page really quickly here. And I'll show you how this works. So when you are working on a page, if you're wanting to collaborate with other people, it can take a lot of time to be able to show data in the form of like a line chart, bar chart, pie chart, etc. And so really what Confluence is powerful for is telling the story of a project, whether it's a project poster where you're outlining the requirements or you're showing research that was done to kind of help fuel your work. One of the best ways to kind of help summarize a whole lot of data, which can be really hard to consume, especially when you're like reading a page and trying to figure out, what am I supposed to learn or get out of this page? And so, yeah, graphs, charts, things like that can really help visually be able to tell that story without someone having to like look through a huge table of data. And if you do that in Google Sheets or Excel or whatever, you're going to constantly have to go and take a screenshot and paste that into Confluence. And every time, a piece of the data changes, you're going to have to go out, do that again, etc. And so we built something into Confluence called table visualization. So this is just a regular Confluence table. I've put some data in here just to demonstrate. And when you click inside of this table, this hover menu comes up. And right here is a little button called Insert Chart. And so if I click this, it's going to create a chart out of this data, which is pretty awesome. So when I am in here, I can then go in and I can adjust this. There we go. I've lost it. Table options. Nope, not that. Sorry. There we go. Edit source. Oh man, I haven't used chart options. Sorry, I haven't used this in a little while. So this is where you can go into the chart and you can, change this around if you want to look at this as a line chart, if you want to look at this as a pie chart, etc. You can change the data series around. You can customize this thing. So if you want these things to be different colors, you can go in and you can make those adjustments if you want to. You can show the data points, smooth the lines, make it vertical. We can go in here and add a title and we can, add labels to the X and the Y axis, etc. One other simple hack with this really quickly is, sometimes if you're wanting to use this to give people an overview of data, you don't necessarily always want people to see the data. So one of the things that you can do is I am going to cut this table so it makes everything go away. And I'm going to add an expand macro in here. And when I paste this data back in, you can see that the chart comes back together. And on a published page, we can see that that data is hidden in this expand. And so now you're just really displaying what that chart is, which is pretty cool. So that's table visualization. Page status is the next thing here. And I'm going to talk about save indicator as well. So if I go back into this page, maybe it's still a work in progress. I'm still collaborating on this with someone else. I need them to add some data. I am going to be able to add like a page status to say, you know what, this is a rough draft. And when I go to publish this, that page status is going to appear up here with the time that the status was just edited. And this is a really great way of kind of, when you're publishing something, you want to be able to collaborate with it in that published state with someone else, but you're really not ready for like comments from generally anyone. This is a great way to kind of help set those expectations for a page or see what the expectations are for a page when you're coming in and you're reading a page. So that is the page status feature. And then 2, 3 more. I'm going to talk about save indicator real quick, drafts, and presentation mode. So say I'm in this page and I've decided, actually, let's go back here. I've decided I want to present this page because I'm doing a presentation. I can go over into this, this action menu, and there's an option to click presenter mode. And so if I get into presenter mode, kind of takes away that background. It really focuses in on, hey, this is the thing that we want to talk about. And it will go through, and just kind of make everything bigger and the focus on what is on this page. And so it can be a really great way of presenting and using Confluence without having to go out and kind of make slides. One last thing in here. So go back into editing. Maybe you're working on a draft or, something, and you're not quite ready to publish it, but you need to step away from your laptop because you need to go take care of something, in the kitchen, or if you need to go help with a kid or something else, run out and do a chore. We always want to make sure that the content that we're working on is saved, even if we're not ready to publish it. And so we also have this save indicator that is up here as well. And so if you focus your eyes up here while I start to type some things, you can see that it's saying saving. And then when I stop, it says saved. And so this is a dynamic save indicator to just kind of help make sure that you feel confident that, when you're working on something, you're not ready to publish it. You can go ahead and leave that in this state and be able to kind of come back and feel really good that it's saved. So then the last thing I wanted to show you is that similar vein around, you're working on a page, it's not ready yet, you're not ready to publish it. Say you leave it in a draft state, which a draft state is like a brand new page that you have never published yet. It's really great to be able to come back to that work and find it. So for example, in the page tree, you can see drafts that appear here. And so when you go in, you create a new page and you just click close, you'll go back and you'll be able to find those drafts back in the page tree, which hopefully will help you kind of jump back into work very quickly. So those are some of the Confluence hacks of, how to use Confluence a little bit more efficiently, how to help you collaborate, hopefully get some more time to do the things that you need to do outside of work. So I'm going to wrap up here with just a little bit of a story about life outside of work. And so I am going to try to share a Safari screen. Can you guys see this, my personal space here? Yes, no?
No.
You say no? Ah, okay. Alrighty, let me see if I can share this other entire screen. Here we go. Okay. It won't let me do it because of some browser settings. This is so sad. All right, we're gonna hack our way here together. Let me take a screenshot super quickly of this other Confluence page, and then I'll dump it into the Chrome page. So go take a screenshot really quickly. Let's go back here. All right, can you guys see my table viz page again now?
You have to start the sharing again.
Oh man, this is some technical difficulties today.
Yeah, it never stops.
All right, can you see this now? This table viz chart and everything. Say yes or no, because I can't see you because I'm in a different tab.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm going to dump a screenshot of this other page that I had open in Safari. Okay, so I want to share a little bit of a personal example for how Confluence at least has helped me kind of collaborate and make some decisions outside of just a work environment. So like I mentioned before, I really do love Confluence. And so I use it for far more than just work stuff and collaborating on things like that. And so just a little bit of background context. So my mom is suffering from late stage Alzheimer's. And so last summer, we had a bit of an emergency, went home and really decided that it was time for my mom to go into memory care. And so I live in the Bay Area. I flew home to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. And my sister was still back in San Francisco. And so we were needing to coordinate care, look through different types of facilities, kind of create a pros and cons list for different scenarios, and be able to work together when we couldn't necessarily be on the phone together or in person together, kind of working on something that was such a big decision. And so at Atlassian, we use this thing called a DAISY, which is basically a document to kind of help you evaluate multiple options, list out the pros and cons, and ultimately kind of get to a decision. And so it took this concept of a DAISY and created a page that was around choosing care options for my mom. And so you can see here, like I was able to write down like, okay, here are our goals, it's quality of life, safety, reducing hospitalizations, emergencies, requirements for care, the things that she was going to need help with. And then I was able to kind of go through and write down, okay, here's the research that I've done. This is some programs that have been recommended. And then I would go through and actually create tables for each of the care options that we had. So really quickly, I'm gonna take one more screenshot. Sorry about this with technical difficulties. Go back here and I will add the second screenshot so you can see the bottom part of this chart. So then once we had kind of like a few facilities, we started listing them out, and we would list out pros and cons, things about like the estimated cost, the location, et cetera, and go through and kind of use this to help us figure out what was going to be the best option for my mom. And so this page itself and Confluence, being able to kind of collaborate with my sister async while she was in a different state, this really helped us actually ultimately make a decision, and make a decision that we're really happy with, given all the circumstances. So, Confluence can be used to collaborate not only on work stuff, when you're trying to, make decisions or move a project forward and work, but it also can be really useful to be able to collaborate with your family, whether it's a big decision like memory care, or it's something smaller like managing your kids' schedules, or things within your family that you also want to kind of keep organized and need to work on with other people when you don't necessarily have as much time to sit down in person and kind of be able to work things out there. So with that, I am going to stop sharing. And that is my way of collaborating in Confluence. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you very much, especially for the tips at the beginning. I have to say, I was really, maybe you saw it, I jumped up from my little stool here that I have and had to try out the Confluence.new thing because I didn't know it.
Yep.
And it works. It's perfect. It's a game changer, I think, because anytime I want to write down something, I think to myself, oh, I have to go to Confluence and, find my personal space and whatever. It's just such a great shortcut. Although maybe, it's also a little bit of a curse. I see myself creating many pages that I have to go in and, give a title to later and so on. But no, seriously, that's really great. I can see myself using that a lot. So that I found particularly helpful. And I'm also very relieved.
I will tell the PM who made that you were very excited about that, because he will be very excited to hear it.
Yeah. And I'm also very relieved that I'm not the only person who has dozens of tabs open in his browser. So thanks for that.
Yes, a lot of those for sure.
And one final question. In your overview page for the Confluence hacks, you had these tiles basically of moving images. How did you do that? Is that animated GIFs or what?
Oh, yes. All right, let me
that looks nice.
My screen again. So if I jump back into, we'll get rid of this stuff in this page. I'm assuming you can see the screen again.
Yes.
So for that, you can use what's called layouts. So that's this button up here. And you can kind of create these columns. So you can create 3 columns if you wanted to, which is what I did. You can make them small, medium, go wide, etc. You can change these around if, say you want a smaller column on the left, but a wider one on the right. For that was this. And then I simply copied some different images that came in. So for example, I'll use this one from today. And you can just drag and drop those into these. So these become their own kind of little sections, and you can use any macro that you want within these things as well, which is really awesome. And I love using those. One other one I just thought of as well is custom panels. So probably noticed that there were some of these like blue things here. So a keyboard shortcut person. So if I push back the slash here and start typing in panel, you can quickly, pull up like an info panel, a notes panel. These just have different emojis to kind of signal and color what they are. But we also have something called a custom panel. And so here you can go in and you can choose any color that you want to. So let's make this maybe a dark, let's do dark blue. And then you can also change the emoji out. So if I want to customize this, say put this tool in there, I can change what that emoji looks like, or I can completely take it away if I don't want that. And then I can start to add text into here, which is also a really great way of making a page very visual.
Yes, I agree. Again, very just a little tip, but also something that I find useful, because I always use /info and then change, the color and the icon emoji and so on. I didn't know that there were predefined templates for the different types of warning and so on. Just like you showed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So panel it is from now on.
Yep.
And so you use the sections and then you just inserted some animated GIFs, right, for the movement?
Yeah. Yep. I created those GIFs and then I just dropped them in.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I love the sections as well. If you have any say on future, development of that stuff,
You want a single column, don't you?
I would like to see 4 of them, not 3.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Sometimes.
All right.
Could
Well,
be,
I have no
especially,
future say because.
yeah, especially if you go wide, sometimes 3 is not enough.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I used to work on things like that, but now I'm a Jira Align PM, but I'll let them know. I know one of the top requests is also around having a single layout so that you can just move sections of the page. And so I know that that's a highly requested feature as well too. So and I'm now with you all, which is that I also want them to build those things since I don't have as much control over those things now. But yeah, I think for having one column, both those things are super helpful to being able to kind of lay out your content how you want to.
Yes. Great. Thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah, super amazing insights. Like, I was going wild. Is there anywhere where I can just grab all the latest improvements for somebody super new? Or is
were you asking if there is a way to do that?
Yes, or otherwise not have you 24/7 here with us. So
yeah, I can potentially talk to our. Well, you know what I can do is I can write a community post with some of these same hacks that I just went through today.
Because I started to translate. We Germans have sometimes the issue not embracing English, but
yep.
I learned put it in the native language and then bring them to the community page.
Yep.
I love it. Just some directions.
Sure. Yeah.
And the other question was like having issues choosing the right color, like with the rainbow. Is there any way around that? Like, can I define a hex color coding stuff? Like in server days?
Yeah, no, you can't change any of the colors around outside of what are kind of given as those options. The only reason for that is really just around accessibility. So I know that our platform design teams have put a lot of work into what colors are. And so the reason you only have those options is purely from an accessibility standpoint. But there's no way to customize what those hex codes are specifically within Confluence today, at least.
I see. Otherwise, like push for improvements.
Yes, exactly.
Smart people like us who know accessibility by heart, but also brand colors. Like when you show the graph, everybody loves, this is me, this is my competitor, divided by colors. Like,
Yeah. Yep. That sounds like a great Jack suggestion to get started.
Okay, like I fill in tickets. Cool. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, no worries.
And
I
my
love
hack-
this stuff.
Nobody is listening here from Atlassian. Use the Confluence share extension. So when you said like the medical history is super important and not everybody needs access to your Confluence page, I created pages like with all the medical history. You just forward the link here, person. There you have it. Like that's my hack.
Yeah, I love it. Now we're exchanging hacks. This is great.
Yeah, I have also one actually, because sometimes when you are sharing pages just internally in the company, your first impulse would probably be to just copy the URL of the page, right, and send it via Teams or whatever. But if you're using the share function, then you get like of an abbreviated short link. And that will actually not change even if you change the title of the page. So it is kind of permanent.
Yes,
I was very happy
that is
to
one
find
of the
that
best
out.
things. Yeah, about Confluence is especially when you change the titles of the page, because that changes a lot. Or you move the page around, that those links update themselves.
Yes.
The short links are always nice as well too.
Yes. Okay, any other feedback, comments, questions about that?
Just let us know where the community post is and we'll make you internet famous.
Sounds good. Will do. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So if there is nothing else about Confluence hacks, nothing else to share, then I think we can go to the next presentation. The other Sam is up with Jira and Jira Align. Are you ready?
Yeah, thank you, Andreas. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just a little introduction about myself. So actually, Sam and I are actually teammates now. So I have a little bit of interesting background with Jira Align, and it's kind of a long one actually. So right now I'm a product manager on the Jira Align team. I'm kind of a recent addition to the product management team as of last October. But prior to that, for the last 3 years, I was a solution architect with Atlassian implementing Jira Align with customers. And then prior to that, I was actually a Jira Align user and customer of Atlassian. So I have this long history of Jira Align. So I've used it as a user, I've implemented the software, and now I'm managing the product. So it's kind of a long kind of history that I have. So I'm based out of Los Angeles. My background actually is in, I started out in program management, done portfolio management, and then I was with a customer where we did an agile transformation. So we did a safe transformation or scaled agile transformation. So I also did agile coaching. I've understand different scaling frameworks in agile. So I'm very knowledgeable in that way. So this, as I walk you through, is I'll be maybe talking about concepts if you're not familiar with them, just please let me know, and I will explain it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you could be more productive and improve your efficiency with Jira and Jira Align. And so your first question is, because Andreas brought it up, is, what is Jira Align? So you know what Jira is, you know what Confluence is, you're probably very familiar, but you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is Jira Align? You may have heard of it, but you don't know what it is. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through this. So, as we've had some conversations with customers, we've discovered that they're large organizations, and it's difficult for them to adapt very quickly, as to kind of basically meet the needs of their customers and competition. So as you evolve, you have more teams, you have more departments across different regions and time zones. And then now a lot of organizations have remote workers, or they're doing some sort of hybrid. So this adds to complexities in their organization. So how do you manage different things like risk, dependencies, trade-offs, bottlenecks, budgets, capacities, roadmaps and forecasts across your organization? So, when looking to answer these kind of questions, the first thing you look at is, well, how does your knowledge and information flow in your organization? And one of the things that customers start to realize is that their information is all over the place. They have, they're using different things like spreadsheets commonly, PowerPoints, emails, and then you can use different tools like Jira, Jira Align, Trello, all these different tools. Now, how do you get this data, rolled up within your organization so you can actually see what's happening across your teams, maybe your team of teams, your programs, things like that? So that's where Jira Align comes in. It's kind of this shared platform for enterprise agility. It brings all of your relevant information across all your stakeholders, your portfolios, your product managers, and your teams, and then it brings it into Jira Align. So what Jira Align has is actually has an integration with Jira and actually Azure DevOps as well, but I won't talk about that today. And it's able to sync data in real time between Jira and Jira Align. So what you're able to do is ingest all the information and then roll it up into a hierarchy of different teams. So within Jira Align, there's what's called program delivery teams, program teams, solution teams, portfolio teams, and executive teams. Now, you don't have to use all of this. It's, this is configured. Jira Align's a kind of a different tool in that it requires a solution architect or an Atlassian partner to work with your organization to configure it to your ways of working. But what Jira Align does, it does support different types of Agile at Scale frameworks. One, for example, is Scaled Agile Frameworks. If you're familiar with that, there's also Scrum at Scale, Large Scale Scrum, even the Spotify model are some other scaling frameworks of Agile. So we can accommodate different things, including non-Agile projects, if you want to have that in Jira Align as well. So what you're able to do is you're able to sync your people, your work, and your time. There are time cadences in Align. So in Jira, you're familiar with sprints. In Align, you can configure a quarter, or if you're doing Scaled Agile, what they call a program increment. So you're able to configure these time scales so that you can roll up the information and get this really enterprise-wide view across your organization. You're also able to do cross-team and cross-functional collaboration. So planning, prioritizing backlogs, looking at roadmaps. You're able to see real-time analysis. So rolling up all the data in Jira and seeing what the progress of features that are all tied to the stories within Jira. And then you're able to have one single source of truth for your entire organization to look at how are you progressing toward your outcomes or OKRs, and then also all the work that's related to it. So it kind of brings this all together to give this one holistic view across your organization. So Jira Align is built from the top down to link strategy to execution. So at the bottom level, you know that there's delivery teams, which are your Agile teams like Scrum and Kanban, and they're using Jira has stories, tasks, and it's typically sprints. Then in Align, you have above it program teams, which they prioritize features. Those sync with Jira epics in Jira. And then there's a time scale called program increments or quarters. And then there's solution teams. If you want to turn that on, that's not a requirement, that's optional. They have capabilities and releases. And then you have portfolio teams, which are like themes, quarters, and years. And then you have executive teams, which is your strategy. And you have strategic snapshots. So what we're doing is we're linking all of this from the top down in your organization. And then on the right are like some of the kind of value drivers that the outcomes that you get out of Jira Align. So you can enhance your delivery, you can balance capacity and demand, you can connect strategy to execution. So that's where you connect your organization goals, your mission, vision, values with your OKRs. The goal is to improve your customer satisfaction, increase transparency across your organization, and then optimize for value delivery within like your budgets. And then lastly, kind of improve your operational excellence. So one of the things is your organization like needs to kind of collaborate seamlessly. So all this work is happening at different levels, and it needs to be communicated from the top down to your agile teams. And that's kind of where Align gives you that ability to see that across your entire enterprise. So these are like, you'll see that the executive team is where you set your strategy, your portfolio team maps your strategy. If you're doing solution teams, which is not necessarily required, you would set your solutions. Typically, we have like these program teams, which is where you plan your work. This is your team of teams level. And then you have your delivery teams where the work is done. So Jira Align empowers your teams so that you can keep your teams working in Jira while extending coordination upwards in your organization at the program, portfolio, and enterprise levels. That's what Jira Align really does. It enables the higher levels to actually work as teams within your organization within one tool. We also make all work visible. So we aggregate all of the data across all of your Jira projects and make it visible in Jira Align, so you actually see it in real time. And that gives you the ability to align your work to a purpose. So you can get alignment through dependencies, roadmaps, also your portfolios. And then also the last thing is you can optimize for outcomes. So connecting your investment in work and then driving it to outcomes, which are like OKRs, right? And goals. So before I move on to kind of the next section, does anyone have any questions about Jira Align? Okay. So Jira Align's quite an expansive tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of highlight some things about Jira Align that can help improve with productivity and efficiency. I can't go into detail about all of the functionality in Jira Align. As I mentioned, it's quite robust. So I'm going to focus on certain things and kind of show you how things that I've learned from using Jira Align that I've kind of been able to help me kind of quickly see things and then make decisions very quickly as well. So there's 4 things that I'm going to kind of give you an overview about. There's a thing that we call views in Jira Align. So things like the backlog, roadmaps, program board, objective tree, to help visualize work and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Then I'm going to show you rooms. So rooms are like dashboards that provide you this unified view of all the related items at each level of your organization. So remember, I talked about the enterprise, portfolio, program, and team. So I'm going to show you these rooms that actually help you navigate to different parts of Align very easily. And then I'm going to show you a couple of reports that help you measure how your team is delivering value and how productive they are and efficient they are. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some tips about things in Align that can help you with recurring activities and tasks to make it easier to navigate within the tool itself. So first, I'm going to walk you through views. So views make it easy for you to stay in aligned across your organization and your teams. So the first thing is the backlog. In Jira, you're familiar with the team backlog. You can create a bunch of them. So Jira Align actually syncs with the Jira projects, and it also maps each backlog to a team in Jira Align. So Jira may not necessarily have a concept of team, they have boards, but in Align, there is a concept of team. So you actually have a way to map those to teams and see that in Align. In Jira Align, we actually have backlogs too. So remember I showed you there's the program, solution portfolio. Well, there's actually backlogs for each work item that's associated to those. So in Jira Align, we call features, epics, those are called work items. In Jira, they're called issues. And for each of those, there's an actual backlog in there. Another view that is available in Jira Align are roadmaps. So these are roadmaps that enable you to see and forecast initiatives and features across multiple quarters. You can visualize critical milestones. You can communicate health status. And then it also rolls up the story data within Jira. So you can actually see when stories are planned in sprints.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe it's just me, but I still see the views title slide.
Oh,
Is
it's
it
not
just me?
moving.
Maybe it's
I
just
see it
me.
on the recording.
Yeah, because I also the camera views of all of you are frozen, so maybe it's just me.
Okay. Did everyone else see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, works.
One of another view that I'm going to show you, and I'm actually going to walk you through Jira Align as well, is the program board. So this is a centralized view for planning and managing the progress of work, dependencies, risks, critical milestones, and program level OKRs across teams within a team of teams or a value stream within one quarter. This is a really powerful view in that it actually tells you when things are not in alignment, and it actually highlights them in red, orange, or yellow if they're past due or misaligned with your team's original plan. This is something that's done in scaled agile. There's a thing called PI planning or program increment planning, or quarterly planning, where you plan out, when are you going to deliver your features, and then you plan out all the stories, and then you kind of identify your risks, dependencies, and milestones, or even OKRs when you're going to deliver them. And so it gives you that view to basically tell you when things are out of alignment. And then lastly, I'm going to kind of show you the objective tree. This is a hierarchical view of objectives or OKRs, and you can actually see the progress of your objectives, your key results, and the related work. This is actually something that Sam is working on right now. And I'm going to walk you through that. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo before I kind of move into rooms. So this is Jira Align. Now we are coming out with a new navigation relatively soon, just to kind of show you the difference. This is the old navigation, and this is the new navigation. I'm going to show you in the old navigation because this is my demo instance. So, it's going to be easier for you to see actual data. My other instance doesn't really have very good demo data. So the first thing I'm going to walk you through is the backlog. I have an example of Jira. Here's the Jira backlog, and this is mainly like stories, subtasks, bugs, right? And you have a backlog. In Jira Align, there's a similar view, but now we're looking at, here's a portfolio of digital services, and this is a quarter. And then this is the initiative backlog. So initiatives may last several quarters, and you can select multiple quarters to view as well. We call this the configuration bar. This is your kind of global filtering. And then you're able to kind of prioritize your work up and down, just like any other backlog. It does have a way so you could see all the child-related, in this case, features. So you can actually see all the linked features below it. I can quickly jump to the capability, or we call it, these are feature backlog, and here it's Jira Epic. Basically, I can jump to this to see the backlog of Jira epics, and this is syncing. These epics actually sync with Jira, and I can actually see the stories that are underneath that as well. there's ways to add in different columns. You know, there's even a way to, we can't do it here, but filter. So there's a lot of ways to manipulate this kind of backlog. And we even have a functionality that's kind of cool. It's called the parking lot, where I can separate, oops, it kind of jumped, sorry. I can actually move some items in this backlog to the parking lot. It's not quite as working as I wanted to. Hold on, I'm gonna right click, move to. I can't move it to. Oh, it keeps loading. Sorry, it keeps loading more issues. Oh, there it is. So here's a parking lot. You can actually separate your backlog out. So if you need to follow up on certain items, it kind of makes it easy to know, okay, I need to go and follow up on these. And then when you're ready, you can move it back into the backlog at any time. So I know a lot of times in Jira, it doesn't have that capability. You create like I've seen, you know, people create stories that say, you know, have a line through it and say to separate their backlog, or they create a separate sprint to kind of segregate items that they need to focus on. The next thing that I'm going to show you is the roadmaps in Jira Align. So roadmaps give you different ways of seeing when work is forecasted to be completed across your organization. So it doesn't matter, you could be different levels. You can actually view this by, I want to view it by initiatives, themes, or even Jira epics. You can see it in different ways. So you could see different timelines. So if I want to select multiple quarters out, so if I could see beyond just one quarter, I can actually see that in this roadmap. So I can get this view of seeing several quarters out. What is my portfolio going to work on? So we're going to work on these, you know, epics, Jira epics, and then in quarter 7, we're going to work on these 3, and it shows you today's date. You can even switch the time scale. So right now I'm looking by quarter by sprint view, and then I could switch it over to quarter by month. So you have that ability to see that. You'll also notice that you can see percent complete. So this is based on percent of story points planned versus how much has actually been accepted. So this is like, this one's 15% completed. I'm also able to designate health. So I could set a health status of whether it's done, at risk, or critical. So it can easily, if you're reviewing this in a session with your leaders, you can quickly highlight what needs to be addressed. You can view the details of like the epic here very quickly. I could go in and see what's the epic. I could see any issues or stories that are linked to it, without having to navigate elsewhere. Some of the other cool things about this is that if I want, say, I want to see how are my how's my work grouped by, say, an objective. So then I can actually see that in the roadmap itself, where it actually groups all the OKRs to the work that it's linked to. So I could see that, hey, this is deliver more compelling self-service experience. It's actually linked to this actual feature. So it's tying back your outcomes to your work that you're planning. And then one more thing is you can actually create what's called a milestone. So say there's a critical delivery of, like here, become the leading financial app in the marketplace. Actually, you can actually view these on the roadmap itself, to where it actually shows you here this little flag of an actual milestone. So say you have a trade show, or you need a major customer release that you need to identify for a specific maybe initiative, you can actually flag those and show those on a roadmap. So when you're reviewing this, with say your leaders, you can actually say, here's our milestone that we need to kind of work toward. So the next view I'm going to show you and walk you through is a program board. So this is something I used very heavily when we were doing scaled agile. I was a release train engineer, so I was running an agile release train, and we did PI planning. And so what would happen, this is before the pandemic, we would do big room planning. All our teams would know based on kind of like what their velocity, plan out their sprints, and then they would put that into Jira Align. And I was able to see, let me select an actual program versus a portfolio. Within the program board, they would actually put in their plan into Jira Align. And then as they start progressing through the quarter, I can actually see when work would be planned to be done. So they would actually specify when they would complete all the work for their features here. And then it would tell me, I could actually see the information from Jira, like when they planned, what sprint they planned it in, and what state it's in. And Align actually tells you when there's issues with, like say a feature or a Jira epic in Jira Align. And in here, it tells you some stories are not assigned to a team sprint. So the teams actually hadn't planned this. It might be new. In some of these, this one's red, and it's telling you some of the dependencies are scheduled for a past date. So you have the ability to create dependencies in Jira Align. And here I could see that this is needed by sprint 27. This is we're in sprint 28, so it's past and it's not committed. So you can actually see right away what the issue is all in one place without having to jump around to different screens. And it actually tells you when things are not in alignment. You can also view things in different ways to make it, just trying to show, sorry. I can actually see things by their titles, so it's a little bit hard to see what it is. So I can actually see the titles on the screen. Also, if you hover over a card on here, it shows you the linked, say it's an epic or an OKR. It will show you what work is linked or what's related to it on here. Anything with a check mark or that's green is all the work's completed. There's no outstanding dependencies or risks. And then the check mark indicates that it's accepted. So it's a very good dashboard in understanding the state of where your entire team of teams is at with their delivery. So while Jira is great at seeing the individual team level and the stories, this actually shows you how you're progressing to the delivery of value, which is a feature. And then lastly, I'm going to show you one last thing, which is our objective tree. So a lot of customers are moving toward OKRs, which are outcome-based measurement. So a lot of times, a lot of organizations are very focused on outputs. What milestone are you hitting? How many points have you accepted? But is that really delivering the value to the customers and meeting the outcome you expected? And OKRs are a great way to measure that. And with OKRs, you ladder that up from your organization. They're set by goals by your leaders, and then each level within your organization has OKRs. And you're able to view this in a tree within Jira Align to show you like all of your OKRs, what is the status and the score. So it tells you your OKR score. You could see your progress through a progress bar of completed items, and then your key results progress. So it gives you a way to kind of see this from one view instead of, again, having to navigate around and see that. So these are views. And again, there's lots more views within Jira Align. I just want to kind of show you a couple of them that are really powerful in kind of rolling up data. Okay, I'm going to move on to rooms. So I call this room with a view because this is a great way to get a bird's eye view of everything within each level of Jira Align. So at the delivery team level, there's called team rooms, and team rooms it's just a dashboard that provides you for each sprint. You can see the stories, tasks, velocity. If you're doing team objectives or OKRs, you can see those, as well as dependencies your teams have opened. Then we also have the program room, which is a little bit more powerful. It's a customizable dashboard that enables you to kind of allow you to see the quarter progress across teams, features, your load. You can have easy access to objectives, dependencies, risks, and the program board. You can access a lot of reports and different views directly from the program room itself, so you don't have to navigate to a different page to do that. The portfolio room is where your portfolio team can use and view the progress of themes, initiatives. You see your portfolio level of velocity across all of your team of teams or value streams. And then you can actually see some financials within Jira Align as well to make decisions about whether or not you should continue with your initiatives, or should you just stop there. And then for the executive leader, there's a strategy room. So it provides you with this unified view of your organization's mission, vision, and values, your goals and objectives, and then your progress toward your strategy. And it actually has this strategy pyramid, and then there's an OKR heat map and a mini OKR tree as well. You can actually see like your progress of work toward each of these levels of strategy within Jira Align. And then lastly, I'm going to show you custom rooms. So one of the things is what we found is organizations may not easily align their work and how they deliver work to the Jira Align structure. So you may have portfolios, but your work spans across multiple portfolios, multiple team of teams or value streams, and you need to be able to consolidate that in a view that cross-cuts across all of these different teams in your organization. So we created what's called a custom hierarchy. And with each level of custom hierarchy, you're able to create a custom room that you can actually pull in all of the related work, objectives, dependencies, risks into a single room and view that you can actually see. What's also nice, if you're a program manager, you can actually add status in here. So you can actually give it some health status and a little bit of a narrative about what's going on. And I'll kind of show you what that is. So I'm going to jump in and show you the rooms. So over on the left side, this is like what we call the left menu navigation. And you'll notice there's enterprise, portfolio, program, and team. Each of these menus has a room. So I'll start off with the strategy room. And the strategy room, as I mentioned, is more for that kind of overall executive level view of your organization. There's this thing called snapshots. It's more of a customized time frame. So it could be like a fiscal year, it could be a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. But what you're able to do is roll up information from your entire organization across Jira Align. And you're able to set your mission, vision, and values. And then you can see this tree about, why do we exist? You can actually view what is your mission. It gives you a way to see it in your backlog. I don't actually have, you can see here, what is our mission here to view this. This is the strategy backlog. And then it goes into strategic goals, themes. You can see of them, how many are linked, your portfolio objectives, your initiatives, your program objectives, and your Jira epics. You can see your progress toward your work. So you can see how many themes, initiatives, and Jira epics are accepted. You can see the count of stories, any dependencies. And then down here, it gives you a heat map of your average score of your OKRs and your goals across your organization. And it gives you a little bit of a mini OKR tree, kind of like the one I showed you on this view. So again, this is again to align your strategy with your execution at the highest level. I'm going to go one level below, which is the portfolio room. This enables you to see across a portfolio, single portfolio, in this case is digital services. I can also look at a specific time frame, which is a corporate snapshot of 2023. I could see my theme progress here. what's my scope accepted. So this is a burn up chart. I can see my progress for each quarter and where we're at. And then here it gives me a list of initiatives and all of the work that's associated to these initiatives below. And then I can see like story points or roll up as story points. You can estimate in team weeks or member weeks. And then you can see if it's capitalized, non-capitalized here. On the right side, it shows me how each of my value streams or team of teams is progressing toward execution of their plan on the right. So for each quarter, I can see their progress. I can see how effort is kind of loaded. So what is the velocity across each of my value streams? And then how am I loaded across each of the themes and the percent complete? And then there's also financials where I can see what is my funding for my portfolio costs, how's that divided among all of my value streams or team of teams, and it gives me my overall cost and funding. So again, it's for the portfolio team to easily make decisions on whether or not they should, pivot or persevere on large initiatives. Next is the program room. So the program room is more focused at the team of teams value stream level. So I need to select an actual program. So I'll select mobile. What's nice about the program room is that you can actually customize this. So it's not loading. Hold on a second. There it goes. So I'm actually able to kind of drag and drop widgets and move them around to make it more easily accessible. I'm able to turn off things I don't want to view if they're not important to me or things that I don't use. But what's nice about the program room, so if you're a program manager, you're a release train engineer, if you're doing scaled agile, or you're a scrum of scrum masters, if you're doing scrum at scale, you can actually see across your program, like how many epics have you planned, how many stories, your total story points, what's your progress. You can see all the dependencies that are opened within, across your value stream or team of teams, objectives. You can see all of your Jira epics / features here. It also tells you when you have orphan stories. So these are stories that are not linked to Jira epics. And the reason why this is important, in order to get that really aligned view and roll up within Jira Align, you want to be able to link everything to a parent object. Otherwise, you have no visibility onto making sure that your teams are working on the right thing. So it gives this view for program managers to be able to talk to your scrum masters and POs to make sure, hey, make sure you link all of your stories to an epic. It also tells you misaligned stories. So sometimes you may have a Jira epic plan for a quarter, but the team has pushed a story out into the future. It tells you when there's a misalignment. So it's an easy way to see kind of if things need to be kind of updated to make sure that, there's kind of no outliers and things you're not aware of. You'll also be able to see team load and progress. And one of the nice things about the program room is that I can quickly navigate to different parts of the application. So say I want to add a new dependency, I could just click on it and add a dependency straight from here. And it will just open it up and I could just create one. I can also navigate to the dependency map, which is a report, very quickly and easily. So I can just view a dependency report right away. I can also go to a view. There's what we call a dependency grid view, where it just quickly opens that up. And then I can go and look into dependencies right here. So it's a very easy way to navigate to different parts of the application without having to go to the menu itself and look in each menu and find out where the functionality is. Next, I'm going to just quickly show you through the team room. The team room is, again, a dashboard at the team level. this is not something necessarily teams have to use since they're in Jira, but they can use, and it allows them to kind of view at a sprint by sprint level a dashboard of all the work and dependencies and objectives, as I mentioned. So you're able to see like, you know, your dependencies, your requests to do. You could see your progress here, and then you're able to see your objectives. All this is your story and subtask information is all coming from Jira. It's all being synced with Jira. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is custom rooms. So custom rooms, as I mentioned, they're a flexible way to pull in work, objectives, dependencies, and risks across portfolios, programs. So the other rooms are very specific to a specific hierarchy, right? This is hierarchy agnostic. So this is really good, a really good view for program managers who are managing a program across multiple team of teams, value streams, portfolios. I'm just going to show you an example of one. So here's solution A. It's pulling in all of the OKRs, dependencies, risks, initiatives, Jira epics, stories. So I can see everything here. It even gives me ability to set a status. You can customize these statuses to however status you want. And then I can indicate a health, and then I can write a brief kind of narrative of what that health is. Now, the custom room is in beta right now, so it's not fully launched, but customers are able to access this and get it turned on to use it. You can also see what portfolios, programs are working on it. So if I wanted to get that view, I can actually see which programs are actually working on it, what portfolios and teams are working on it. This is in the early kind of development. We're going to expand this more and roll out more new functionality in the future around custom rooms and custom hierarchies. Okay. So next, I'm going to kind of go through reports. I'm not going to go. Jira Align has over 100 reports. And Jira also has reports. I will talk about one Jira report that is pretty useful that I think, as having been a Scrum Master, is the Sprint Review report. It's a great way because it's all burn downs of progress. And the key thing about this is bottlenecks. Like with Agile delivery, you want to know where your bottlenecks are, and a burn down chart is a great way to see that. Also in Jira Align, you're looking more at like team of teams value streams. So you're really organized around value and value delivery. So we have a report called a value stream cycle time. It actually shows you how efficient your team is delivering value across your value stream. Now you're able to set up these, what we call process steps, and define them yourselves. And we actually track the amount of time that your features actually sit in those process steps. It could be an epic as well, or an initiative in Jira Align that you can track this. And then also we have the work in progress reports, which helps you visualize the state of your stories and how they are connected to features, initiatives, and themes. And then it provides you metrics like throughput, cycle time, lead time to see how productive and efficient your teams are. Great way to kind of measure efficiency and then identify bottlenecks and how you can drive improvements across your organization. So just quickly, I'm just going to take you to those. So I'm going to show you a tip and a shortcut. Jira Align has this cool functionality called a favorite, and you can actually favorite pages that you use frequently and not have to navigate to different ones. A lot of you are probably familiar with the Sprint Review report, so I'm not going to dive into that one, but I'm going to go into the value stream cycle time report. So you'll need to define a process flow that has process steps, and you can customize this to your own organizational process flow is your workflow. And it actually measures like how long has, in this case, a Jira epic been sitting in this process step, 25 days. So it's taken 25 days to move to the next process step, 29. And then the average time across your value stream is how long does it take on average to get through the entire value stream. So a very good way, the more faster you're able to move, features to your customers, the more happier your customers are going to be, right? We also give you other metrics to show you like what is the rolling time? How much WIP do you have in each of these? So what's your average WIP, the number of work in progress in each of these steps? And then also you can actually see like this as far as kind of a rolling time. And then last one is your cycle time, kind of your rolling average as you go through this graph. And then the other one I'll show you is the work in progress by state. Again, this is it's kind of a team level kind of roll up view. It rolls up from the stories, like your work in progress. So you can see from your stories, your Jira epics, your initiatives, and it shows you your percent complete and percent done. But what the great thing about this is it has this lean metrics, and you can actually see your cycle time, like your work in progress cycle time, a cumulative flow diagram. So if you know how to use a cumulative flow, you can actually see, this gives you a visualization about how much work in progress you actually have. So the more that you see of the red and yellow means that you have a lot of work in progress and you have very little work accepted. Lead time, so how long is it taking on average to get work completed from start to finish? It's like taking 208 days, which is pretty long. And then cycle time is the work, how long does it take to go, basically start from when you start in progress to when you complete it. It's taking us just as long. Okay, the last thing is more of how to make it easier, kind of navigating, getting things done in Jira Align. So Jira Align has things called checklists and framework maps. So a checklist is that you can create these checklists that help you remind you of repeatable tasks, and you can actually link them to internal Jira Align pages or external pages. But it's a great way to, if you have to prepare for your quarterly planning, you may have some steps of things that you need to do, and you can actually create these checklists and assign them to certain roles in Jira Align, or anybody can use them. The other thing is your organization may have a certain way of working or a process, or say you're doing scaled agile. You can embed what's called a framework map, and you can highlight sections of your process framework, or you could use, say in this example, the Safe Big Picture framework map, and you can actually highlight areas and link them to parts of Jira Align. So if someone wants to know, well, where do I go to do, manage the backlog? They can go to the framework map and it can take them there. But if you had your own process, like, your own process of how you do things, you can actually put an image of your process framework and then link those to Jira Align functionality. So I'm going to quickly show you checklists. So checklists are up here, and I'm going to open one up so you can get an idea. So there's a release train engineer checklist here, and I click on it. And what it does is it opens up on the bottom this checklist. So you'll see that it has 0% complete. And the first step is to plan feature backlog, and it's plan, manage, and prioritize the backlog. So I click on it and it opens up the backlog. So then I can easily hide the checklist, complete what I need to do, which is plan the backlog. And then when I'm done, I can click on this and then I can mark it check that it's done. So now it tells me I'm 20% done. So you see how it's easy to navigate to pages and just, if there's certain things in your process or ways of working, you can set up multiple checklists, to accomplish those activities. And the last thing I'm going to walk you through is that framework map. So we do have some, hold on, I need to close this. We do have some framework maps that are ready there. So this does, it's not working from the favorites. So here's another trick. We have a search, so you can search for functionality without having to go through the menus. So this is the framework map, and you'll see that we do have a couple of different kinds. So if you're doing Scrum at Scale or Spotify, we have pre-configured framework maps here. But I'll show you the Scaled Agile framework. So if I go to Program Backlog and I click on it, it opens up the program backlog itself. We've had customers that have their own, as I mentioned, process or framework, and we embed their an image of that framework, and then you can configure this to add interactive sections of it that link to a Jira Align functionality, or even external, say, web page or a Confluence site. So another great tip on making things easier on how to navigate, instead of trying to figure out where do I go next in this menu and what functionality should I use. So as you can see, there's a lot of functionality, and I just scratched the surface of what you could do with Jira Align. There's a lot more. So if you have a partner, Atlassian partner, or a Jira Align solution architect, they will take you through the whole plethora of functionality. But hopefully I gave you enough to understand of what Jira Align can do and what it does.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, so much. I mean, all I can say is, wow. You said you just scratched the surface, but there was so much in this presentation, so many rooms and views and all of that kind of stuff. Being completely new to Jira Align, I really had to fight, not to be overwhelmed by all of it. But thank you very much for this great overview. I think so. To me, it's obvious that Jira Align is more dedicated to large organizations, right? Bigger companies.
It depends. Actually, you can scale Jira Align how big as you want. I've actually worked with a very small company before that only had 4 value streams or agile release trains, and that's all they had. So it really depends. You don't have to use all of Align. You can decide, you know what, I only want to do that program level, and that's it. And that's what they were doing. So you can turn off a lot of functionality that you don't need. Like, you don't have to use the rooms, it's not required. But they're just, different ways of making things easier. So yeah, it may seem overwhelming. A lot of Jira Align customers are the large organizations that are using it, but we do have some smaller ones that do use it.
Okay, I see. I don't know Jira Work Management very well, but would you say that it is in some ways comparable? Does it make sense? Where would you see the differences?
No, so what Jira Align does is, like, if you so Jira Work Management, Jira is very team focused, right? Now, if you want to roll that up into, say, a team of teams, a value stream, or just say, like, if you go with a regular program, I have a group of teams that work on a program of projects, right? That's very specific. That's where Align really helps you. It helps roll up that information, instead of having to go to individual Jira projects, right? That's one of the difficulties with Jira, is like, I can see what it's difficult to see what my teams are doing unless I go into each individual Jira project. Or Align does it rolls it up to a higher level of a hierarchy, and you can kind of go up in your organization however far you want. Does that help in some way?
And Jira Work Management lives inside of one project, in contrast, right?
Yeah. So Jira Work Management is focused on the kind of the non-technical teams, right? They're not necessarily doing sprints. They want to have roadmaps. You can integrate Jira Work Management projects into Jira Align, so you can actually have that view of rolling up your non-technical teams as well as your technical teams as well in Jira.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Good to know. Any other questions? Cremo, maybe?
Oh yeah, thanks a lot, Sam. That's my 3rd or 4th present. Already had one in Germany for the Atlassian community here, in German, because the topic is so full of details. So what would you say? When do customers as a company come to Jira Align? What's their biggest issues, or how other they try and failed or have the need for that? So I know they need
that's a great question. The biggest problem that customers have is that they can't see the work that the teams are working on. So you have an initiative, like a big initiative, and you're like, okay, what are the teams working on? Where are they at? They're doing Agile, or Scrum or Kanban, and you have no idea. How are they progressing? They all have Jira projects. In order to see that, you would have to go into each Jira project. So today, you have probably a program manager that's going to every team and saying, tell me what your status is. Tell me what your status is. They're creating a status report and rolling it up, or it's in a spreadsheet, right? You have no way of seeing what are the priorities among all of these teams, and are they working on the right thing? So the big driver for a lot of organizations is, I want visibility across my teams to be able to roll it up. And that's what's kind of the difficulty with Jira today. It's that you have to go project by project, or depending on how you structure your projects, to get that rolled up view. It's actually very challenging. Like you can do it somewhat in Jira in advanced roadmaps, but you hit a limit at some point, because you don't have that. You hit a limit as far as hierarchies and kind of the number of issues you can actually really look at in advanced roadmaps.
Cool. Yeah, I get that picture. Like, the manager is overheating and every highest executive is asking for more decisions, onion, or where to where the fires, or what did you say, like the miscellaneous items, like those eating up stream doesn't get the attention that they deserve, right?
The biggest thing that I've seen with customers is when they get Jira Align and they connect it, and then they start seeing the data, and like they start realizing their teams are working on other things that they didn't even know about. And they're like, well, why was it taking so long to deliver this initiative? Oh, well, we know now. It's like our teams are working on other stuff. I'll give you an example. Like when I was using Jira Align, our engineering organization didn't understand, like our leaders didn't understand, why was it taking so long to deliver things? And then we did this analysis, looked at the data in Jira Align, and we found out that we're spending like 30 million a quarter just on like other stuff to keep the business running, or technical debt, all this other stuff that the leaders had no idea that teams were working on, because it was hidden in Jira, but they could see it in Jira Align.
Great. Yeah, that makes totally sense. It makes it so much easier to convey like the added value that Jira Align brings to your organization, that puts all the data in one place. So
yeah, the other thing too is and it's kind of the evolution is that you go from first seeing the work, then how do you get everyone aligned to what's the highest priority work, and then also how do you align them to then OKRs, like, you know, outcomes, versus focusing so much on output. It's kind of an evolution, I would say, of most of our customers. Is they start off saying, okay, I want to see the work, I want to make sure we're working on the right thing, then let's make sure we're working on the right thing. Okay, next let's align it to outcomes versus focusing on output.
Now I get why there is the alignment in the name.
Yeah.
Cool. Another question would be, because like we had this session, people came, but not the companies I would expect. So here in my area, like automotive is super popular. Like as Andreas, there's some famous car maker with a star. But those companies come. So what would be the strongest message if we have another session regarding Jira Align that would portfolio managers and other organizations to come and have a look at that? Could you like phrase something that they would spend a session with you?
I would probably is, I think the biggest message is, do you know what your teams are working on, and are they working on the right thing? And the other thing I was showing you is like we're you know, we were recently featured in the Forrester Wave report for value stream management, and we actually, Jira Align supports value streams, and I think that's kind of not really very well understood. So if you're aligning your organization to value streams or team of teams, you're able to see that value delivery and kind of measure it. Like, how do you measure if your teams are getting better? Like you can look at story points, velocity, things like that, but how do you look at, are you delivering value to your customers? Because looking at stories, is that really value, or is it a piece of value? Whereas Align, you use a feature or Jira Epic to represent your value to your customer, like something you actually is going to give a benefit to the customer. And if you're organized around value streams, you can actually see that and you can actually measure that. Some of the reports I showed you, the cycle time, you should be getting quicker, better by removing impediments, improvements to your teams, right? And that's kind of the point of Align, is it kind of gives you that visibility. Whereas in Jira, you can look at a team level, but now I want to look across multiple teams that are working on the same product or solution or service that you're delivering to a customer. How do you see that? It's a harder problem to see and visualize when you're in a large organization. I don't know how, say, automotive companies are structured. I know we do have a couple of automotive companies that are actually on Jira Align, some large auto manufacturers. So I think the message is to be able to make work visible across value streams, and and to make sure they're working on the right things and make all work visible. Like that's, I think, the first step in with Jira Align is getting that visibility to make sure you're aligned to your priorities across your organization. I think it's a very hard concept to grasp. And I think that's why it's a very difficult thing to get organizations to understand. I think, that's why a lot of organizations went through a digital transformation and did agile transformations, right? Is they want to be able to deliver, quicker to customers and get better, be more customer centric.
Cool. Yeah. The thing that came into my mind was like, are you putting the money where your mouth is? Value stream world you were just summing up so much better than I do. But looking at this, because like you need the portfolio people, you need the entire company be out there and say, we want that kind of visibility, we want to be better as a company, but we also like are willing to look at the things that are doing well in our organization. Like a little bit like Big Sam is watching you.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing for a lot of, especially at the team level, to get used to, is like you feel like you're being watched, right? I had teams that are saying, hey, our leaders can see everything now. I said, well, that's not a bad thing either. They know what you're working on. If they don't know what you're working on, what they'll do is they'll go be asking you like, what's going on? And I think it gives them a little bit of that level of comfort, being able to know who's doing what. That's how I explained it to my teams that I worked with, is like, hey, this will give your leaders comfort because they have visibility into what you're working on.
Cool. Yeah, that's a way of transporting it. Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot for the presentation.
You're welcome.
If you ever want to have that in German, I can get you in contact with Philip from Atlassian. We actually have like Cybert Media, Keegan, and Atlassian. So we represented Atlassian part on the business side. So why it makes totally sense to go fully visible and transparent with your OKRs before looking out to Jira.
Okay, great. Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. It was cool.
All right. So thank you again very much for the presentation. It's pretty late now already here in Germany. I think we've lost most of the attendees. But we will put everything on YouTube, the whole session, to bring it to as many people as possible. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're still here, congratulations. Thank you very much. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. So yeah, but I think we can wrap it up for today. Thank you very much.